In your opinion, black folks in general, are we thriving or surviving right now? We barely getting it done, or what's your thought?
I would say that we are drowning. When I look at the suicide rate for black girls, they have the fastest growing suicide rate in America post COVID. Number one killer of black men are each other. Second leading cause of death of black men between 20 and 40, suicide. Third leading cause of black men between that same age group are preventable injuries or reckless behavior. I look at the fact that 75% of our children are being raised exclusively by the mother. I look at the fact that we don't have a single black community in these United States that operates independently as a black Wall Street, meaning there's no place I've been to in America, nor that I know of, where we own our own bank, our own school, our own hospital, and our own supermarket. You need a bank to invest in the people, a hospital to save the people, a supermarket to feed the people, and a school to teach the people. And nowhere in this country do you find those four things in the same area. And then when I look particularly at Cleveland, I find it interesting that this is one of the few black cities where we are in the numerical majority. 47% of the 350,000 residents of the city of Cleveland are black. 37% are white. And even though we predominate numerically, we are still disenfranchised, economically exploited, and politically oppressed. Absolutely unacceptable.
And why you think is that?
Well, number one, you cannot control black people, you cannot exploit black people, and you cannot disadvantage black people without the participation of the black bourgeoisie. So in Cleveland, I'm sure there are members of the coonocracy who operate in the favor of the white power structure and against the interests of black people. That is 5 families of the coonocracy or the black bourgeoisie. Number one, you have your media coons. The media coons are black people who own radio, newspaper, magazine, TV, podcasts, who do not discuss the critical issues in our community. They don't talk about the food deserts we live in. They don't talk about the fact that although 65% of Cleveland's public school students are black, 67% of Cleveland's teachers are white. Why in a predominantly black school district are most of your teachers not black? They won't talk about that, but they will talk about who won the NBA finals. They will talk about who hit the lottery. They will talk about who got shot at the mini market last night, but they will not talk about the critical systemic issues that affect black people in Cleveland that were introduced from the power structure. They will blame the victim and never blame the perpetrator. So you have your media Negroes, then you have your higher education bourgeoisie. These are black people who work for the school system, the university system, the community college system. And when they're asked why black people are in the condition that we are in, they will blame single mothers, poverty, rap music, sagging pants, and Instagram. Although those are contributing factors, they are not causes. The reason black people exist in poverty in Cleveland and everywhere else is because the Federal Housing Authority created a situation where they helped poor white people escape to the suburbs 40, 50 years ago on low interest loans and handouts, and they trapped black people in the ghetto and then stripped the inner city of the resources that they were given to poor people with the same income out in the suburbs. So everything that happens to us is introduced from the outside. We are at fault because we don't do anything about it. We are at fault because we don't organize and resist. We are at fault because we don't push back. The third family of the black bourgeoisie is your elected officials. Not all, but most of them. Negroes who are in positions of influence and power, but are paid to do nothing to assist black people. That's number 3, I think it was. So you got your media Negroes, your higher ed Negroes, your elected black bourgeoisie. Then you have your entrepreneurial bourgeoisie. These are black people who have made a decent living for themselves, come from the ghetto, and after they escape to the suburbs with a nice house and a nice car and probably a snow bunny, they turn their backs on the back of other blacks. And the last of the five families, Baba, is the religious bourgeoisie. And I would argue that the religious bourgeoisie is the most dangerous because they have the most control over the way black people think. Basically, what they do is they evangelize oppression, and they evangelize dysfunction, and they evangelize white supremacy that makes black people think we're in the condition we in because Jesus put us in that condition, or Muhammad or God put us in that condition. In other words, they never point the finger at systemic inequity, systemic injustice, or systemic racism. They come up with fancy religious excuses that rock black people to sleep instead of waking them up to organize against oppression. If you really are trying to lead your people away from the devil, why are you so comfortable with your people living in hell?